After my brother Elliot passed away, he entrusted his precious little lover, whom he couldn't bear to marry, to me. Though mute, Ivan would redden his watery eyes and sign furiously about joining Elliot whenever upset. I finally snapped, grabbing his hands. Enough. Stop signing. I can't understand. He spent half the night crying while I tried comforting him. But having the dominant one sob endlessly felt downright surreal. The moment Elliot died, I rushed to claim his delicate lover. Yet on our wedding night, I found myself pinned beneath Ivan. My supposedly fragile beauty turned out to be a full-blown fraud. I thrashed angrily. You were always on top before? Tilting his head, Ivan flashed a gentle, innocent smile, utterly unconvincing as his fingers kept unbuttoning my shirt. His grip was ironclad. A tear slid down my cheek in despair. Elliot, you never mentioned being a bottom before dying. Though unspoken, the entire Williams family treated Ivan as Elliot's lover. Who could resist those luminous eyes and ethereal beauty masking his masculinity? Even when bullied, he'd just blush and sign clumsily. On his deathbed, Elliot rasped to me, Ivan's your responsibility now. He's had a tragic life, too vulnerable. Relatives circled his bed with scornful smirks. Ivan sat obediently beside him, gaze lowered. I stayed silent. Truthfully, I'd have taken Ivan regardless. When our eyes met, his tear-reddened stare pierced through me. Blood roaring, I nearly laughed aloud, barely stifling it into a dutiful I will. After burying Elliot, I stood at his grave musing, hated you, brother. But at least you died doing one decent thing. My smirk faltered when I noticed Ivan studying me, my grin stretching too wide. Craving Ivan wasn't sudden. My resentment toward Elliot had festered for years. As the stepbrother dragged into the Williams family, I endured his sabotages, broken heirlooms blamed on me, bastard taunts, kneeling punishment under scorching sun. That June afternoon, sweat poured like tears as I baked on the patio. Ivan approached with a parasol. I sneered, here to gloat. Instead, he crouched before me, shielding my blistering face under the tiny shade meant for one. I froze for a moment before snorting. What are you doing? I retorted. Listen, don't think you can just... He didn't let me finish, swiftly popping a lemon-flavored candy into my mouth, tangy and sweet. My eyes widened as he thrust a crumpled paper into my hand just as my brother Elliot emerged. I quickly clenched the note in my fist. What's going on here? Elliot demanded. Ivan Carter smiled, signing something unintelligible before they walked off together. As they left, Ivan glanced back meaningfully at my closed fist. Unfurling the paper later, I read, You've been drowning in bitterness. Try some sweetness. That summer became forever associated with lemon drops. And I made up my mind he would be mine. I'd always seen Ivan as the perfect spouse. His ethereal beauty could fool anyone. But overnight, our dynamic flipped from me being the husband to becoming the wife, an adjustment I struggled with despite my feelings. I found myself unconsciously keeping distance. Midway through reviewing contracts at the office, our butler called urgently, Mr. Williams. Mr. Carter's refusing to eat until he sees you. We told him you're busy, but he started crying. You'd better come. For a heartbeat, I doubted my hearing. Ivan had accepted Elliot's arrangement, transferring his guardianship to me without protest. Even complied with wedding preparations. Why this sudden tantrum after mere days of silence? Does he think I'll come running? I fumed. Yet before realizing it, my Mercedes was already pulling into the driveway. Starving yourself won't make Mr. Williams return any faster. A maid pleaded as I entered. Ivan signed angrily before crossing his arms in defeat when she didn't understand. Thought you were the obedient type, I said sternly. Approaching. Turns out you've been saving this grand performance. Well, I'm here. My words ignited him like match to dynamite. He lunged at me with surprising strength for someone fasting. Fists pounding hard enough to bruise. Rushed back from work just to get assaulted? I hissed through pain, half amused. What do you want? Hearing I'd canceled meetings seemed to calm him. But as I relaxed, he grabbed his phone. My stomach dropped. This drama king's typed ultimatum glowed on screen. I'm leaving with Elliot. Now I exploded. Black spots danced in my vision. He deliberately targeted my deepest wound. You choose him? I snarled, decades-old bitterness surging. After everything, you'd follow that bastard? The room temperature plummeted. Ivan flinched but held my gaze, fingers flying across his phone before shoving it in my face. Prove you care more. His tear-streaked defiance struck like lightning. Suddenly, the childhood memories surfaced, 12-year-old me trembling outside Elliot's birthday party, ignored by our parents while they doted on their golden child. Ivan had been the first to notice, sneaking me lemon candies from the dessert table. My anger dissolved into choked laughter. After 20 years, he'd weaponized my old trauma to force emotional honesty. Grabbing his collar, I growled, You want proof? Fine. Our lips collided with decades of pin-up longing, lemon and salt mingling from our tears. The maid discreetly exited as we tumbled onto the sofa. Later, breathless and disheveled, I nibbled his earlobe. Still think I don't care? He responded by slipping another lemon candy into my mouth, eyes gleaming with triumph. Summer's bitterness had finally sweetened. He's already dead, and you're mine now. Still hung up on him, he shook his head, typing furiously before shoving his phone in my face. Heartbreaker. Me? My confusion must have been obvious. With visible frustration, he typed again. You slept with me that night, then ghosted me. Heartbreaker. If this is how it is, I'd rather go with your brother. So he wasn't obsessed with Elliot. He thought I'd hit it and quit it? Speechless. But I was the one who got pinned down that night. Sighing, I tried explaining. Look, I didn't mean it like that. I just can't handle being the bottom. He remained unimpressed. Irritated, I raked fingers through my hair. What'll make you happy then? After endless tapping, he demanded I come home twice weekly, overnights only, or he'd visit Elliot. Even produced a damn contract. I shouldn't indulge this. Yet before logic kicked in, I'd sign the damn thing. I've lost my mind. Now I drag myself back weekly, lest this drama king escalates. Each time, he clings, kissing my jaw, nuzzling my neck until I'm hard. Then he gestures for me to turn over. Oh, hell no. Me? A total top. Let him. But the moment I resist, those hands start flying. I'll go to Elliot. God damn it. Teeth clenched. I shut fine. Let him. Doesn't change who owns whom. Right? Right? The typing kills us both. His slow hunt and peck. My fractured understanding of his sign language. Hire an interpreter. 3 days later, the guy quit. I can't do this. Find someone else. Why? He hesitated. Your partner's creative with vocabulary. Half his signs are NSFW. And you too. 3 explosive fights daily. My nerves can't take it. After a beat, I offered double your pay. Stay. Use your diplomatic skills to smooth things out. Money's not triple. Deal. Figures. Everything's negotiable. Post-investment. Our fights magically vanished or got sanitized beyond recognition. Now I always win. Worth every penny. Evan met my gaze with a challenge in his eyes. Signing rapidly, the interpreter voiced, He says he likes you. Ivan's eyes widened incredulously before he tentatively formed another series of gestures. He wants to spend his life with you. Came the translation. Ivan seemed determined to escalate, fingers flying again. The interpreter paused, then turned to me with forced composure. He says he wants to. The rest vanished beneath Ivan's hastily clapped hand over the translator's mouth. I noticed Ivan's cheeks and ears flushing crimson. Damn, that last part must have been genuine. Our relationship walked this tightrope. He knew precisely how to provoke me, yet equally how to charm. Those mesmerizing eyes could drain my resistance instantly. Still, the ghost of Elliot lingered between us like cheap cologne. I used to think my brother's timely death delivered Ivan to me. Now I wished Elliot had lingered longer, long enough for me to crush him beneath my boots before claiming what's his. Another sleepless night found Ivan slumbering peacefully beside me, arm draped over my waist. The bracelet my brother gave him glinted mockingly in the moonlight. Couldn't he even remove it for sleep after all these years? Gently shifting his arm aside, I crept to the balcony. The cigarette between my lips did little to soothe the ache in my stiff muscles. Half finished, I turned to retreat when arms encircled me from behind. Questions burned my tongue, but his voiceless existence granted me the mercy of plausible deniability. Morning light revealed a text from friends. Ignoring it, I sought Ivan downstairs. He beamed in the kitchen, presenting freshly baked cupcakes. His hands danced as the interpreter explained. Elliot always complained these were too sweet. I used to give the leftovers to you. Memories surfaced of him coaxing me with sweets during my bleakest days. Yet every sweetness came poisoned with Elliot's leftovers. Could you stop mentioning my brother? The words escaped before I could stop them. Ivan froze mid-smile, head tilting in confusion. His signing hands asked, why? With innocent persistence. Can't you choose me over his memory? The childish demand hung between us. His uneasy silence answered clearly enough. The dead always win. Never mind. I forced a laugh, grabbing my phone. Give those to the staff, or trash them. My thumb hovered over Elliot's old messages before deleting the entire thread. Ivan's wounded expression followed me out. But some ghosts needed exorcising. Where are you? I'm heading out now. We met at a bar. My friend leaned in curiously. How's Ivan doing? I drained my glass, considering. He's good. Beautiful. Fiery personality. I slurred, resting my cheek on the cold counter. Annoying sometimes, but never boring. I poured another shot, throat burning. Just can't forget Elliot. My friend froze, scratching his neck awkwardly. Some drunk nearby snorted. Ivan's been used by Elliot for so long. You're doing him a favor by not finding him disgusting. My fist smashed against the table hard enough to silence the room. The whiskey haze made Ivan's face swim before me, those damn dimples appearing when he faked smile for customers at the flower shop. Wrong, I rasped. He's clean. The whole world could rot, but the ground beneath his feet stays pure. They carry me home later. Ivan came rushing, hands fluttering like panicked birds. He tried undressing me, those slender fingers trembling against my buttons. When I yanked him into bed, he thrashed like I'd hooked him through the gills. I laughed hoarsely at the ceiling, tears leaking sideways into the pillow. Morning light stabbed my eyes. Kanji steamed on the nightstand. Ivan lay curled against my thigh, dark lashes trembling with bad dreams. He startled awake, eyes going moo-round. Those eyes made every John at his brothel think they were special. I'll let you go, I said when he reached for the empty bowl. His phone clattered as he typed, why? Oh, no more obligations. He shook his head violently, fingers flying in meaningless patterns. I pointed at the silver bracelet, Elliot's 21st birthday gift still gleaming around his wrist. You've never taken it off. Not like that flashed on his screen. I turned away from the frantic tapping. Keep the apartment. I'll still pay your bills. His choked gasp followed me to the shower. Through the spray, I heard porcelain shatter. The shards of our breakfast bowl glinted beside his bare feet when I emerged. Blood welled where he gripped them too tight. I reached out instinctively. He recoiled like I'd brandished a knife, that damn bracelet jingling as he fled. He probably did love me, but there was always a difference compared to how he felt about Elliot. Ignoring his reaction, I even managed to crack a joke. No one will stop you from seeing my brother now. Tears streamed down his face. That same heartbreakingly vulnerable expression making my chest tighten. His phone screen lit up inches from my face. Trembling fingers clutching the device. Don't you like me anymore? My entire body froze. I lowered my head, covering my face as conflicting emotions churned inside me. Of course I did. I still loved him desperately. But if this love could only survive through constant pain, always overshadowed by someone else's ghost, then maybe it was better for him to stay beautiful somewhere just out of reach. Summer doesn't belong to anyone. I've been greedy to think otherwise. Struggling to keep my voice steady. Forced out. You should leave first. My feelings had always been all-consuming. After that, Ivan became eerily calm. His eyes watched me with unsettling stillness, as if he'd unraveled some profound truth before nodding slowly. The same boy who'd whined for my attention, who'd thrown tantrums demanding I come home, quietly packed a small duffel bag and moved out. The relief I'd expected never came. Instead of freedom, I lost both him and the ability to sleep. During those endless nights, my mind replayed him tearfully holding up that damning text. I jolt awake gasping, only to relive it again in fitful dreams. For the first time, I truly understood what it meant to toss and turn until dawn. Against my better judgment, I started checking on Ivan. Though I'd promised financial support, he'd taken a job at a cafe. From my shadowed corner booth, I watched customers flock to him, flustered college girls giggling over his shy smile when complimented, office workers lingering just to chat. While I wandered like a ghost, he thrived. My bitter stare must have burned through the room. He suddenly turned, our eyes locking across the bustling shop. Without hesitation, he pushed through the crowd toward me. I half rose to flee, then stubbornly sat back. Why should I run? I could claim I was checking on my brother's charge. He stopped at my table, fingers flying across his phone. Did you come to see me? Direct little shit. I was in the neighborhood. I lied, coughing awkwardly. His smile bloomed like sunrise, dazzling enough to short-circuit my brain. Another rapid text. Then want a drink? I nodded. He practically skipped away, returning with a latte held like a trophy. Made it myself. The screen proclaimed proudly. The first sip nearly made me gag, sweeter than cotton candy. It's all good, I choked out, hating how his hopeful gaze melted my resolve. He preened, then shoved a crumpled note into my coat pocket. Unfolding it, I recognized the same nervous creases from that long-ago confession he'd once scribbled. My throat tightened. Before I could even ask, he dashed off again. I pulled out the note and read, "If you don't like that bracelet anymore, I'll stop wearing it. Could you try loving me again?" Come to think of it, I hadn't seen Elliot's bracelet on Ivan's wrist earlier. Wait, does that mean? Memories suddenly resurfaced. I've been present when Elliot first gave Ivan that bracelet. Ivan had initially refused, irritating Elliot. Without thinking, I'd commented, "It looks good on you." Ivan had stared at me blankly before abruptly changing his mind, fastening the bracelet while deliberately shaking his wrist in my direction. So he thought I liked that damn bracelet? I never understood Ivan before, and now I'm even more confused. He treats me well, but he's kind to everyone. Maybe there's some tiny distinction, but I can't trust it. If heartbreak is an acute illness, then this ambiguous dance is a chronic disease, constantly medicating, never fully recovering. Perhaps I've been bewitched by Ivan's little games, pathetically haunting his coffee shop daily, driving across town just to say, "Felt like coffee. You happen to be on my way." My flimsy excuses hold zero credibility against Ivan's perceptiveness. That afternoon, I lingered longer than usual. Ivan kept stealing anxious glances between tasks, terrified I'd leave. The moment he freed up, he rushed over breathlessly. He pointed at my hand, confused, I stared until he simply grabbed my wrist. His other hand fumbled in his pocket before clasping matching blue beaded bracelets around both our wrists, my favorite cerulean shade. My lips parted soundlessly. Suddenly, I became the mute one. He formed silent words with exaggerated care. Our unspoken pact began, daily visits replacing signed contracts. These stolen moments thrill me more than our previous cohabitation ever did. One opening, I feel, could bring him back. But reality shattered this illusion. Arriving at the shop later, Ivan was nowhere found. After hours of waiting, a barista approached. Mr. Ivan Williams? My gut clenched. Ivan took bereavement leave today. Didn't he tell you? Then I remembered the date, Elliot's birthday. Who else would he be visiting? Laughter bitter as espresso grounds escaped me. Dead men don't compete. Yet somehow, my car drifted to the cemetery. There stood Ivan before Elliot's headstone. 2 coffee cups steaming in the autumn chill, one placed on a grave, the other trembling in his hand. He stood completely still, appearing deeply engrossed in whispering something to Elliot that shouldn't be overheard, and I was the one being excluded. Rage instantly flooded my veins, scorching through all rationality until coherent thought became impossible. He knew how much I despised my brother, knew exactly which buttons to push. All those previous displays had just been performances tailored to please me, while his heart remained tethered to Elliot. How could I have been foolish enough to believe him? We stood frozen in this absurd stalemate, me desperately trying to sear this betrayal into my memory as a permanent caution. After what felt like eternity, Ivan finally turned to leave. When our eyes met, genuine shock flashed across his face. He hadn't anticipated me tracking him here. He quickened his pace toward me, but I spun on my heel. The stumble came suddenly, his foot catching on loose gravel as he lunged forward, tumbling hard onto the ground. Against my better judgment, I found myself hauling him upright. His smile now sparked only bitterness. Ivan, I said coldly, we should stop seeing each other. His eyes widened as frantic fingers flew across his phone screen. Why? You accepted my bracelet. Is this because I visited Elliot? The cheap trinket on my wrist suddenly looked absurd, the kind of trinket even middle schoolers would reject. A humorless laugh escaped me. You think these manipulative games still work? Chasing after Elliot while stringing me along, doesn't that exhaust you? I may have feelings for you, but that doesn't mean I'll tolerate being your plaything. My voice cracked despite myself. Fearful of weakening, I turned sharply, only to have him clutch my sleeve. When I shook him off, the bracelet went flying back at his chest before I stormed to my car. Regret haunted me before I even reached home. The shattered vase in my foyer mirrored my fractured composure as storm clouds gathered outside. Against all reason, I found myself driving back through the downpour, checking the cemetery roads until I spotted him drenched and shivering on my doorstep like a stray puppy. Are you insane? I dragged him inside, toweling his hair with rough motions. When I lose it, you're supposed to run the other way, not come begging for more. He silently pressed the recovered bracelet into my palm. Rising to leave, my hand shot out to stop him. It's pouring. Where could you possibly go? The heartbreaking smile he managed would have put morning angels to shame. His red-rimmed eyes screamed every unspoken word. You wanted distance. I'm obliging. I trapped him in an embrace tighter than shackles. Forget what I said. Please. The plea tasted like ashes and hope. Rain lashed the windows as we remained entangled. The cheap bracelet digging into our clasped hands, a childish token, suddenly weighted with everything we couldn't yet name. I was too angry at the time to think straight. Here, if you're still upset, hit me, just like before. My heart raced after saying those words, terrified he might not even grant me the chance to be forgiven. After what felt like an eternity, a dull pain shot through my back. I couldn't help hissing through my teeth. He actually went through with it. Blow after merciless blow rained down as he vented his anger. Oddly enough, I started laughing through the punishment. Yeah, just like that. Him hitting me at least proved he still wanted this twisted connection between us. If he'd simply walked away, that would have been the real disaster. Eventually, whether from exhaustion or reluctant concern, he stopped. My back burned like fire. He shoved me aside, rummaging through his pockets before pulling out a rainwater damage phone that refused to power on. When he wordlessly extended his palm, I hurriedly handed over mine. Password's your birthday. Ivan's lips pressed into a thin line, surprise flickering across his face when the screen actually unlocked. But he quickly looked down, shoulders tense with residual anger. I watched him violently jab at his phone's notepad app, fingertips nearly denting the glass. He thrust the device back at me. The entire screen screamed the same 3 words repeated endlessly: frowny face fucking idiot. I had no rebuttal. I kept visiting the coffee shop daily after that. Ivan maintained a frosty facade, though the way his lips twitched when accepting my peace offerings, a silly keychain here, his favorite pastry there, betrayed him. Things seemed to be mending. That evening, I arrived with grocery bags full of hot pot ingredients, only to freeze at the sight of Ivan holding the door open for a man I knew all too well, my late brother Elliot's right-hand man. Why was he here? The memory I'd been suppressing surged back. Ivan standing rigid before Elliot's grave, face unreadable. Our eyes met across the sidewalk now, his gaze a storm of emotions I couldn't decipher. I forced a smile, lifting the shopping bags. Got everything for hot pot tonight. Your place after closing? He seemed startled by my avoidance of the obvious, hesitating before nodding. The air between us stayed charged as we waited out his shift. At his apartment, I wandered while he prepped ingredients. The sparse living space made the 2 large boxes in his bedroom glaringly conspicuous, far bulkier than the small duffel he brought when moving out. Inside, Elliot's old hiking gear, half-finished sketchbooks, and that hideous novelty tie I'd given my brother last Christmas stared back at me. A bitter laugh escaped. Even in death, you still haunt every corner, don't you? Footsteps pounded down the hall. I turned to see Ivan anxiously studying my reaction, playing along. I closed the suitcase. Are the ingredients ready? He nodded. Taking his hand, I said, let's eat then. We'll rest early afterward. The hot pot dinner tasted like ash. I swallowed every bitter mouthful, forcing nonchalance until nightfall. When I finally clung to him in bed, tears betrayed me. He frantically wiped them away as my voice cracked. What should I do? You're tearing me apart. His hand stilled, wordless. He simply patted my back until exhaustion claimed me. But I still want to keep hurting like this. Work avalanched the next day. By my last coffee break, twilight painted the windows. I sprinted to the cafe, only to find locked doors. Resigned, I unwrapped his Valentine chocolate dark sea salt, his favorite. The first square barely melted when steel arms slammed me against brick. Ivan's kiss tasted of stolen cocoa and desperation, his grip immobilizing my wrists. Oxygen fled my lungs until stars danced behind eyelids. When he finally released me, his glare could frost glass. Stealing my gift? I rasped, still gulping air. It's mine to begin with. His eyes reddened, wounded doe meets cornered wolf. My stomach dropped. Walk away now, I warned, clutching his sleeve. And we're done. Tomorrow. Next week. Forever. He froze. Those crystal tears shattered my resolve. But I pressed on. Last chance. Ivan. Truth time. His throat worked silently. Who holds your heart? Me or Elliot? The name hung between us like shattered glass. After eternity, his phone flashed. Elliot saved me. Gave me everything. My reflection warped in his tears. Then what am I to you? What am I then? He lowered his gaze, long lashes veiling his expression. After prolonged silence, he typed, I'm not sure what category we fall into either. A wave of exhaustion washed over me. I muttered, fine, turned away without another glance, and walked out. For days I avoided initiating contact. Sensing my withdrawal, he finally messaged, "Are you coming today?" Me, "A better not." Him, "Tomorrow?" Me, "We'll see." The chat went cold. Returning from a board meeting, I found new notifications, "Then I'll come to you." Bewildered. I barely processed this when reception called. "Mr. Williams, there's a mute gentleman here claiming to be your romantic partner. Should we send him up?" The word partner froze my tongue. Only when the receptionist repeated her question did I croak. "Have him wait. I'm coming down." I schooled my features into neutrality, jaw aching from suppressed smiles. Yet when I saw Ivan leaning against the lobby column, composure shattered. Rubbing my temples in mock severity, I demanded, "What's this about?" He blinked, flashing his phone screen. "I missed you too much." My cheeks burned as he clasped my hand, undeterred by gathering spectators and camera phones, dragging him through the gawking crowd. I practically sprinted to the elevators. The receptionist's wide eyes screamed, "This is real?" Office doors barely closed before Ivan slammed them shut. His arms banded around me like desperate restraints, ragged breaths hot against my neck. We stood locked that way for hours, his silent tears soaking through my Armani suit. When we finally separated, his eyes were swollen ruins. Before I could speak, trembling fingers presented another message. I was wrong to say I didn't know. For years, everyone assumed I belonged to Elliot. Even he never corrected them. I thought maybe I should love him. New text appeared as I processed this. "These days without you made me realize losing him I could bear. Losing you would destroy me." My throat tightened. Ivan and Elliot, never actually. He mistook my silence for rejection. Frantically typing, "I know my uncertainty hurt you. Please let me make amends. The truth is clear now. It's always been you. Only you." Sighing, I weighed bitterness against understanding. Ivan had orbited Elliot's world since our college days. Expecting zero residual attachment would be naive. Yet here he stood, choosing me with wrecking ball clarity. "Prove it," I challenged hoarsely. This only me declaration, how? He bit his lip and typed, "It was your brother's birthday." Even out of gratitude, I should have visited. But I was afraid you'd overthink it. So I didn't tell you. Who knew that would make the misunderstanding worse? The assistant specifically came to me about moving Elliot's belongings to my place. His anxious eyes watched me like he'd already braced for disbelief. I cupped his face, studying every detail before brushing my lips against his. "If you want another chance," I murmured, "you'll agree to my terms." He nodded frantically. "Move back in. No more secrets. Stop mentioning Elliot around me. If you can't handle this," I trailed off, letting the unspoken threat hang. His grip tightened on my shoulders as if I might vanish. "Enough," I sighed, steadying his frantic head. Maybe I needed to stop jumping at shadows, too. Constant suspicion would poison everything. Later, Ivan moved his boxes back into our brownstone. Elliot's ghost no longer haunted our arguments, though his memory lingered like fading perfume. Truthfully, even if Ivan still had feelings for my brother, I'd make damn sure he forgot Elliot's name. Life moves forward. No one gets to live in the past. Tonight, Ivan met me at the door with our ritual kiss. "Why the clinginess?" I teased. He just smiled. The journal on his desk explained everything. My partner fears abandonment. If words fail, let kisses speak. Both require lips anyway. I snorted. Only this brilliant weirdo could turn affection into existential philosophy. Seasons change, but I'm not afraid of autumn anymore. We've captured endless summer between shared breaths. Ivan sighed. Call it curse luck. Orphaned young. Raised by grandparents who counted medicine money against school fees. Watched Grandma hide textbook funds under her pillow while her legs ballooned. Almost enough for Ivan's semester. She'd wheeze. Yet at dinner, useless mute. Should have died with your parents. Grandpa's gruff voice burden. Grandma's echo, be good. How much goodness could squeeze from a child's silence? Ivan wondered. Pushing rice around his plate. What shape does obedience take when your voice lives trapped in bone? Everything began to change when Ivan met Elliot from the Wilson family, who came to their mountain region for a documentary project. Elliot immediately noticed the quiet boy with luminous eyes sitting alone at the basketball court's edge, staring blankly at the sky, and snapped a photo that later went viral online. Why are you here alone? Elliot asked. Ivan pointed to his mouth and shook his head. When handed paper, he wrote, the others don't like playing with me because I can't speak. Awkwardly changing subjects, Elliot inquired about his parents. They're dead, Ivan wrote. That night, Elliot tossed restlessly before finally slapping his own face in frustration. After learning more about Ivan's situation from teachers, he arranged financial support through the Wilson Family Foundation. Though Ivan's grandmother eventually succumbed to her illness despite treatment, the assistance allowed proper medical care and covered his education costs. Grateful beyond measure, Ivan later enrolled in college near Elliott City. Their frequent meetings soon became local gossip fodder. You never mentioned why you're still single, Elliot. Friends teased at parties, eyeing the stunning young man who shadowed the Wilson heir. No wonder you sponsored his education, waiting for him to repay your kindness with marriage? Elliot's noncommittal smiles left Ivan emotionally tangled for years. Should he feel obligated to return his benefactor's affection? Was ingratitude the only alternative? Though everyone assumed their relationship status, Ivan privately questioned Elliot's puzzling duality, kind of strangers yet harsh toward his own brother Evan. He'd often find Evan hiding in storage closets at family events, sleeves damp from silent crying. The contradiction haunted Ivan. How could the man who funded orphanages and championed social causes be so cruel to his sibling? When Ivan tentatively suggested reconciliation between the Williams brothers, Elliot slammed doors hard enough to shake picture frames. Ivan began noticing Evan everywhere, the way he'd emerge red-eyed from confrontations yet return with fiercer determination. How he'd mutter, "You'll eat those words someday," while scrubbing tear-streaked cheeks. Against all logic, Ivan started smuggling lemon cakes into Evan's briefcase, slipping peppermints into his coat pockets, smiling until the brooding heir reluctantly pocketed the treats with poorly feigned annoyance. Each time Evan's cold facade cracked, catching him secretly smiling at a doodled cat in his planner, or humming along to Ivan's playlist. Warmth bloomed in Ivan's chest. He knew he should prioritize his benefactor, yet found himself memorizing Evan's coffee order and work schedule. When Evan stormed out during another family dinner, it was Ivan who followed, finding him kicking vending machines in the parking garage. Not even junk food wants to cooperate. Ivan sighed, producing a Snickers bar from his pocket. Evan glared before snatching it with a huff, the ghost of a smile betraying him as chocolate crunched loudly. In that moment, Ivan's stomach did the strange flip-flop he'd never felt around Elliot. He began questioning everything, why Elliot's perfect generosity felt increasingly performative, why Evan's battered resilience seemed more authentic. The night Ivan found Evan asleep over financial reports, cheek imprinted with spreadsheet grids, he carefully draped his jacket over the exhausted heir, frozen mid-reach when hazel eyes blinked open. Ivan stammered excuses until Evan grabbed his wrist, mumbling stay before dozing off again. As autumn leaves fell, Ivan stopped counting how often he accidentally brought 2 coffees to the Williams building, or coincidentally took lunch breaks aligning with Evan's schedule. When Elliot announced their Mediterranean cruise plans, Ivan finally admitted the truth during Evan's 2 a.m. panic attack over merger documents. He'd chosen which brother to stand by long ago. When faced with others' speculations, he neither confirmed nor denied them, often responding with a nonchalant smile. But when Ivan voiced his doubts, Elliot would simply say, "I don't know what you're talking about." He desperately didn't want the bracelet Elliot had casually given him after purchasing it from an elderly vendor at the tourist spot. Elliot had only bought it out of pity for the struggling grandmother. Knowing others might find it cheap, he'd given it to the one person who wouldn't complain. Yet when Evan casually complimented its charm, Ivan immediately slipped it onto his wrist. Would Evan like seeing him wear this? Elliot saw through his shifting loyalties. During one shared meal, Elliot's face darkened as he remarked with feigned casualness, "You understand me, don't you, Ivan? I value you deeply. I couldn't bear having you turn against me, too." The words carried haunting familiarity, the same emotional blackmail Ivan's grandparents had wielded at family dinners. His appetite vanished. Elliot's death from cancer came brutally sudden. Though Ivan shed no tears, the grief hollowed him out, just as when his grandmother passed. He cared profoundly for Elliot, though he couldn't explain why. Amidst the anguish of loss came treacherous relief. Now he could be with Evan. Yet guilt poisoned every moment. He basked in Evan's affection, yearning to build a life together. But midnight visions of Elliot haunted him. Why had their rivalry turned so toxic? Tormented, yet voiceless, he remained powerless to mend what was broken. On Elliot's birthday, Ivan finally visited the gravesite secretly. Standing before the tombstone, he whispered, "What should I do? I can't stand with you anymore. Am I ungrateful? Will you hate me for this?" His voice broke. "Go ahead. Hate me then." He meant to leave quickly, undetected. Yet Evan caught him red-handed. Life offered impossible choices. He'd wounded both brothers. Yet his own heart bled most cruelly. In the end, he promised Evan to rarely mention Elliot. Some tangled histories were better left undisturbed. Every perspective held its own truth. And as an outsider to their feud, he had no right to arbitrate. The living deserved priority. Clinging to a dead man's legacy while hurting the breathing soul beside him? That would be the real betrayal. When you love, love boldly without reservations. He and Evan had lifetimes ahead. Let the world condemn him. Let Elliot's ghost rage. Love would be his answer.